Thanks for joining us on Gabon 24 for this exclusive interview on One Forest Summit for this special occasion on this scientist working session. We are receiving Mr. Simon Lewis, Professor of Global Climate Change, University of College London. Welcome, sir.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
How the climate is treating you?
It's hot and tropical, but it's better than weather than in London.
Okay. First thing first, today marks the debut of working session in preparation for the One Forest Summit. What are the objectives of this scientist meeting?
Well, the key objective of this scientist meeting is to get scientists from all the Congo Basin forest countries, from Gabon, Cameroon, Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, to work out a scientific plan to train the next generation of scientists in these countries, and also to work out a plan to monitor and understand the forests so that the governments and companies can better protect them going forward.
So it's a meeting of sharing experiences in order to train people.
That's right. It's to train people, but it's also experiences. We have experiences from the Amazon, where they already have very, very good surveillance systems for forests to be able to monitor those forests very well and understand them so that they can manage them better. And we can take some of that experience and then with the Congolese and Gabonese scientists, then we can make a plan that if we can get funds, then we can implement those plans and really monitor the forests really well so that they can be managed for the benefit of everyone.
Okay, thanks. As an expert of rainforests, what can we say about the current status of Congo Basin health?
Well, it's like two stories really. There's the story of deforestation. And we are losing around 500,000 hectares of forest each year. And that forest is being lost through agricultural expansion, mostly in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then on the other side, there's a more positive where we have forest protection. And these forests, an intact forest in Gabon, is removing over 2.5 tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere every year. So they are slowing the rate of climate change, and they are helping everyone by performing their functions if they're protected. So there's a positive side to these things and a negative side.
But you know, here in Africa, people are very dependent on forest because this forest is like a medication for us. We feed ourselves from this forest. But now there is a new thematic, like people need to protect those forests and there's a lot of things. So according to you, what can we help those populations who are very dependent on those forests?
But I think the local people who are dependent on these forests, in many ways they are the best guardians because they are dependent on them. And it is not particularly damaging to the forest to harvest medicinal plants, to take some things from a forest. The problem is when you have large-scale agriculture removing whole areas of forest. People's day-to-day use of the forest is actually what keeps it standing. It has to pay for itself in a way.
And according to you, how can forests influence climate change?
Well, there are 3 big influences. One is if you cut a tree down, half of the weight of a tree is carbon. So when you cut it down and it decomposes, that carbon goes into the atmosphere and adds to the problem of climate change. But forests, when they are standing, they cool the climate. So they make the climate cooler, and also they are removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere as the trees grow. And that's slowing the rate of climate change. And then the third is that there's a big opportunity to restore forests. And when you are growing trees, then as they grow, they're taking carbon out of the atmosphere and storing it in their trunks. So they can actually repair the damage that's been done and also help the climate problem.
We hope that people will understand the need for us to protect those forests and to plant more of them throughout the country. And in terms of forest protection, what is the urgency of the moment? What the need to be done in the Congo Basin right now?
Well, from a global perspective, we can only limit climate change to 1.5 degrees of warming. If the global north, countries like mine, they get their emissions from fossil fuels right down to zero. But that's not quite enough. We also need to reduce the emissions from deforestation. And that requires helping countries like Gabon to make the forest pay while it's still standing, to make it more valuable standing that it is cut down and turned into agricultural crops. And that's a question for the international policymakers as well as the government of Gabon to come up with incentives and schemes to make these forests more valuable standing than they are not, and then they will be protected.
From your experience, do you think that people are very cooperative in terms of they are really want to learn about you guys coming from afar to protect the forest?
It's not really me coming from afar to protect the forest. This is
Like
this
no,
is the
in terms
decision.
of teaching, in terms of teaching people, local people. I mean,
yeah, of course we are. We're in a dialogue. We are working together to answer the scientific questions about how much carbon does it store, how much rainfall does a tropical forest produce, and how is that rainfall helping agriculture. We need to understand these questions really well to be able to present them to policymakers, to politicians, because they are the ones that need to make the decisions, not the scientists.
yes, of course.
We need to present the information on the TV to the public, and then the public will make their decision.
Yes. Okay. Do you think that protecting all these areas are really, they're going to save the globe, like really? All these policies that are put in place, something can be changed for?
Well, I think being in Gabon, it really shows that things can change. So Gabon has very low deforestation. It has very good environmental policies compared to elsewhere in the globe, in the world. And it shows that with the right policies, you can do really good protection and still gain income from the forests, but have them protected rather than converted to agriculture. So I think Gabon is like a beacon of hope in Central Africa that things can be done better.
Today's meeting is also to promote the cooperation between North and South. Can you say something about it to close, maybe?
Yeah.
Before closing.
We need cooperation. My view is that countries from the North, they owe a huge debt to countries from the global South. And we should be transferring the technology, transferring the knowledge to make sure that Gabon and other countries in the Congo Basin region, they have all of the technology and all of the knowledge to be able to make the best decisions that they want to make. And that's the partnership that we can have.
If you should put a message to those people who are watching you, those local people who need to understand your message, because you are a professor, you are here to teach us how to preserve forests and what is the policy can be made in place for us to really be in charge of this heritage of us. What is the message can you say to those people?
Well, I think there are two messages. I mean, one is, local people need to see their incomes raised. They need to have a better life for their children than that they had, just the same as everywhere else in the world. And the message is to do that while respecting the forest, because your children and your children's children, they will also need access to the forest, and it's their heritage as well. So there needs to be this development alongside protection of the environment at the same time. And that's the challenge, but that's what scientific information can bring to help with that challenge.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have reached the end of this exclusive interview on Gabon 24. So you heard it all. We are here in terms of protecting the forest on the One Forest Summit in Gabon, which will be held on March 1st and 2nd at the Radisson Blu. So thanks for watching us, and see you more on Gabon 24 for more information. Goodbye.